Okay, I'm just going to do a short introduction to the tape.
Okay.
My name is Deanda Johnson. I'm interviewing Mrs. Iris Payne at Mount Carmel Baptist Church in Bidwell, Ohio on August the 22nd, 2007. Thank you very much. Okay, just don't forget to answer in a complete sentence and just make whatever you're telling me a story.
Okay.
What is your name, and please spell it for us?
My name is Iris Payne. It's IRISPAYNE.
Alexa?
Oh, can you take off your glasses, or do you rather leave them? Okay.
Sorry. They reflect the lights.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just to spell, what is your name?
My name is Iris Payne, IRISPAYNE.
Can you tell us when and where you were born, and if you were born at home in a hospital or in a hospital?
I was born at home. And what you want my answer?
The date and where at?
Okay, I was born at home, April the 22nd, 1938.
And was a doctor in presence, or was it a midwife?
A doctor was present,
And what was his name?
Dr. Roger Daniels.
And can you explain a little bit about what you know about Mr. Dr. Daniels?
No, he was just a family doctor. He visited the homes at that time.
And where was this at?
That was in Pomeroy, Ohio.
Was he an African American doctor or a person of color?
No, he was not.
If you can just talk a little bit about what do you consider your race or ethnicity to be?
Well, I have a lot of different bloods. My grandmother was white. My grandfather was Negro and white. And on my mother's side, he was black and Indian, and my grandmother was white.
And what do you consider yourself to be?
African American, I guess.
Can you tell me the names of your parents, when they were born, and where they were born?
My father, his name is Oscar Jordan Qualls, and he was born in Pomeroy, Ohio. And he was born March the 16th. I don't know the exact date of his. My mother's name was Hazel Catherine Watson, and I don't know her exact date either.
And do you know where she was born?
She was born in Black Fork, Ohio.
Tell us a little bit about your father, some memories you have of him, what he did for a living, and those types of things.
Okay, my father was a coal miner. He went to work when he was 16 years old. He would work through the summertime, and in the winter he would go back to school. He attended Pomeroy High School and graduated. But like I said, he started at 16 years old in the mine.
And how about your mother?
My mother was a housewife, and I think her education level was to the 8th grade, and that was in Black Fork, Ohio.
You mentioned Pomeroy, Ohio. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Pomeroy, Ohio.
And what was it like growing up in Pomeroy, Ohio?
I enjoyed it very much. I enjoyed school.
Can you talk a little bit about things you did for fun growing up, where you went, those types of things?
Okay. We went to movies on a Saturday night. It was like probably 10 or 15 cents to get into the movies then. And the movies ran in a serial form. It would end on a cliffhanger, and you have to go back next Saturday to see if they escaped. And played lots of ball. I hate to say this, but I would swing on the grapevines. That was a lot of fun. And just growing up, I just loved Pomeroy.
Was Pomeroy integrated or segregated?
Okay, the school was integrated, but I remember going to the movies and it was segregated. We had to sit in a certain corner of the theater.
How about roller skating? Did you roller skate growing up?
when I was a teen, I would come down to Gallipolis, and that was segregated. They had a certain night that the black people could skate there.
How about restaurants and other places of public accommodation? How were those?
Some were segregated, but the blue and gray station, that was the bus station, it was not segregated. We could go in there and eat.
Do you remember some of the places in Pomeroy that were segregated, the names of the restaurants?
It was a pharmacy. It was Stark's Pharmacy. You could go in and get your medicine, but you could not sit down at the counter and eat.
Can you tell me the names of your grandparents? On your father's parents first, on your father's side.
Okay, on my father's side was Edward Qualls, and his wife was Berta Qualls, and I'm named after her. Only my father called me Alberta.
So how did you get the name Iris?
My father attended Pomeroy High School, and there was a girl there named Iris, so he named me after her.
So your full name is?
Iris Alberta Payne, Qualls Payne. Mm-hmm.
And do you know where they were born, on your father's parents, where they came from?
My father's parents, only thing I know about him, my grandfather, was that he came to the Crossroads out near Wellston, Ohio. And the only story I ever heard about him, that he came in one of the finest buggies they had ever seen. So I don't know what he did.
How about your mother's parents?
My mother's parents, well, they lived in Black Fork, Ohio, and they lived like on a farm, but their living they got from mining coal on the property.
Do you know where the property was located in Black Fork?
I couldn't give you the exact location, but it was like in the center of Black Fork.
Do you know if it's like, you know how they have Fore Hill and...
Okay. It was on one of the hills, that's all I can tell you.
Okay. Do you know how your family got to Ohio? How did your family get to Ohio?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Only thing I know, I think my grandfather on my father's side came out of Virginia. There are Quallses there.
You said you're on your mother's side there. What's their last name?
My mother was a Watson, but her mother was a Stewart.
So do you know anything about the Stewarts that settled in the Black Fork area?
Not much. I would just hear my mother speak about Uncle Isaac, Uncle Alec, and so forth.
What kind of things would she say about them? Do you know?
It's been too long, I cannot remember. Mm-hmm.
Can you please tell me the name of your husband?
My husband is Bobby E. Payne. He's from Bidwell, right here in Bidwell.
And do you know his date of birth?
6/15/1937.
And how did you meet your husband?
Just seeing him around.
In Bidwell or in Pomeroy?
In Pomeroy. Mm-hmm.
Oh, so how was it?
He worked on a truck with his brother-in-law, and I worked with my grandmother at the Hotel Martin in Pomeroy, and he would come there to pick up the trash. That's how we met.
And so did he ask you out, or how did if you don't mind saying?
Yes, he asked me out, but my parents, they were very strict with me. And it took some time, but he finally took me to the prom.
How old were you when you met?
17, I think, 17. Mm-hmm.
And how long did you guys date before getting married?
Probably about 2 years.
And when did you guys get married?
April the 26th, 1958.
And can you describe a bit about your wedding? If you had a wedding, who was in attendance, what you wore?
Okay. I was married at the old Mount Carmel Baptist Church, and my attendant was my cousin, Mariana English, Isbell now. And his best man was S.T. Johnson. wasn't?
Alfred Abbott.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Alfred Abbott was the best man. Sorry.
And how big of a wedding did you have? How many people were in attendance?
The church was full. That's all I can say. They came from Pomeroy, Middleport, Gallipolis, Bidwell, Jackson, Black Fork, all over. So I had a very large wedding.
And who were you married by?
I cannot think of his name. Reverend Latham.
And he was the pastor of?
Tridestone in Gallipolis.
Okay. What did you wear at the wedding?
I wore a very, very pale blue dress, satin-like.
Do you remember where you purchased the dress?
No, it was made for me by a friend. She was a seamstress and she made my dress.
What was her name?
Mrs. Kennedy. I can't think of her first name right now.
Where was she from?
She was from Pomeroy.
Oh, okay. Was she an African American singer?
No, she was Caucasian.
Oh, okay.
Very good friend.
Can you talk a little bit, how many children do you have?
I have 2 girls,
And what are their
Kimberly Diane Payne and Angela K. Payne.
and when were they born?
Oh dear. Kimberly was born in, oh dear. You'll have to come back to me on that question. I cannot think.
Okay.
Okay.
How you doing?
He's got it.
Can you tell me where were they born? And
They were both born at Holzer Hospital, Gallipolis, Ohio.
so after getting married, where did you live?
On Beach Street in Middleport.
Oh, okay.
I've lived there for 47 years.
And what brought you guys to Middleport?
Well, that's where we could find a house to rent, so that's where we moved to.
Okay. Was there industry in Middleport? Or?
No, no. My husband worked at Car and Van Sant. It was an auto place. He worked there 10 years, and then he went to Kaiser Aluminum in Ravenswood, West Virginia, where he worked 35 years, beg your pardon.
What were employment opportunities like for people of color in this area?
Not too much, not at the time we got married. They had just built Kiger Creek, the electric plant, and at first they did not hire any blacks. And my husband talked to his uncle who worked for the state of Ohio, civil rights, and they talked to them, then they had to start hiring blacks because it was a government contract.
You mentioned civil rights. How did the civil rights movement affect this area, or what what did you guys hear about the civil rights movement growing up in that time?
Well, most of it was on TV at that time, and I think it was more of a subtle change than a quick change. It took some time, but things did change.
Can you talk about some of the changes that you saw?
Not really. I can tell you something that happened to me. I was a little girl and I went to my dad had to take this lady to a gas station, and it was out near, can't think of the name of the place. But anyway, my little friend, she was white, and she went in the store and she got an ice cream cone. And I told my dad, I said, I want one. And when I took my money in, she looked at me and she says, we don't serve niggers here. And that was a rude, rude awakening for me. Hurt me very, very much.
How old were you when this happened?
Oh, I was probably about 8.
And where was the gas station? Do you remember?
I want to say Dexter, Ohio, but I don't. Langsville, Ohio.
And where's that at?
It's in Meigs County. It's very remote. It's out in the country like.
What did you tell your dad what happened?
Not at that moment. I just told him, no, I don't want any ice cream. And later on, I told him what happened.
And what did he say? Do you remember?
He didn't say too much.
Can you talk a little bit about your schooling, where you attended school?
Okay, I went to Pomeroy High School, and I thought I got a very good education there. I really loved it there.
What year did you graduate?
1956.
And how was it at an integrated school? Were you allowed to participate in all the activities and go on all the trips and different things?
Yes, yes. I remember one time we went to a lake in Meigs County, and it was segregated. And the principal at that time said that if all of my students can't come, none will come. So that's how we got to go to the lake. That was interesting.
Where did you go to elementary school and middle school?
I went to elementary at Central, that's in Pomeroy, Ohio. And then for junior high, I went to Pomeroy Junior High, which they've now torn down the school. They just did it last summer.
And it was integrated at both the elementary and the middle school?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it was integrated.
Can you talk a little bit, you mentioned a hotel you worked at. Name some of the places that you were employed.
I was employed at Smith's Photography. I was employed at Stifler's, which was a department store. And I went to, like I said, the Hotel Martin. I worked there as probably from about 13 to 16 with my grandmother. And I would spend the summers there with her.
And what kind of work did you do there?
Wash the dishes, sweep the floor, set the table.
And where was Martin's Hotel located?
It was located in Pomeroy, but it has burned down since. It's not there anymore.
Now, was that an integrated hotel?
No, it wasn't integrated. Mm-mm. And I also worked at Farmers Bank in Pomeroy, Ohio.
So, did you continue to work after you were married?
For a while, I didn't. I started to work in '78, and I went to Farmers Bank.
Can you talk a little bit about working at Stifler's department store? Where is that, and what kind of work did you do there?
Okay, at Stifler's, I was a sales clerk, and I worked there and also worked in the layaway department.
And what years do you know roughly this was?
Probably about 80, 82.
Oh, okay. Just to go a little bit back to growing up, did you grow up on a farm, or what kind of area?
No. Mm-mm. I grew up on Nye Avenue in Pomeroy, Ohio.
And was there electricity, indoor plumbing, those kinds
Yes, there was electricity, but no indoor plumbing.
Do you know when you guys got indoor plumbing in Pomeroy?
Well, there had been, but we didn't get indoor plumbing until it was about 1950, I think.
And how about a television?
Well, I was lucky. And a gentleman owned a radio shop. He got the little 10-inch screen about like that, and we would go out to his house and watch television. This was like 1948.
And how far did he live from you?
Oh, probably just about 5 houses on up the road.
And what type of programs did you guys watch? Do you remember?
Lights Out. We would watch pro football. I remember seeing Otto Graham and Jim Brown, and most of them were like serials.
How about radio?
Radio, yes, we had radio.
And what type of programs would you listen to on the radio?
Well, starting out, it was the Grand Ole Opry. That would be about all you could get. And later on, it was Randy's Record Shop, which played a lot of rock and roll, rhythm and blues, gospel. So,
can you talk a little bit about what you know about Poke Patch and Black Fork, kind of what you know about the community, some of the families that live there, what they did?
well, really, I didn't know Poke Patch. I wasn't that much. I was just a kid. I didn't know that much about Poke Patch. So only what my mother would say and how they would travel back in there. They'd walk, they'd have to walk there or by horse, so I didn't know that much about Poke Patch.
How about Black Fork?
Yeah, my brother and I, we would go visit. Some Sundays we'd go down and visit, spend the day, which was very enjoyable. There was lots of kids there.
What types of activities did you guys do in Black Fork, and describe how the town looked and what years this was that you were going back?
Okay, it was mostly in the 50s we went down there. And it was just country, not too much to do, just sit and talk and dream. So.
Did they have stores, or what kind of stores or businesses?
Only thing I remember is one store, and it was a grocery store and gas station combined. That's all I can remember.
And who would you visit up in Black Fork?
All of our aunts, and my mother had one uncle, Adrian Watson, and all the rest was sisters.
Do you know what were their names?
Okay, there was Mildred Harris, Gladys Kills. May lived in Pomeroy with my mother. I can't think of them all right now. That's a shame, too. Hattie Cradoff. And that's mostly the ones we would see.
And they started off as Watsons,
Mm-hmm.
and those were their married names.
Mm-hmm. That was their married names.
You mentioned what types of things where the industry was still available in Black Fork in the 1950s?
Okay, they had brick factories, and they manufactured bricks. That was the main industry there. And a lot of men that worked in the brick factories, they got silicosis in the lungs. Most of them died early, young.
Now, what was the population? Do you remember how big the population of Black Fork was in the 50s?
No, it would be a guess. I'd say maybe 200, 300, I don't know.
Now, did your mom tell you stories about growing up in Big Black Fork? And if so, what?
Oh, she just told me about growing up on her home place and how they had to work. They raised a garden for their food. They raised cattle and hogs, and they had to can everything they could get their hands on for the winter. And she told me one time about how they had to go down to the well to get their water and carry it up. And there was such a mean horse that he had her pinned there for I don't know how long. I guess he was quite mean, so.
Are there any other stories you remember about Black Fork or people you remember?
No, it was just a wonderful community of people.
What do you know about the church there, Union?
I attended that once in a while, when we would visit. But my mother said it started out as a log cabin, and that's just about all I know of that.
Now, are your ancestors buried? Where are your ancestors buried from the Black Fork?
Right out from the church in the cemetery there.
Can you tell me what you know about the Underground Railroad in this region?
Only what my grandmother had told me about that her family would hide the slaves and then move them on. That's all. That's really, she didn't talk about it too much.
What grandmother was that?
That's Grandmother Watson, Mary Watson. She was the steward.
So she started off as a steward and she married a Watson.
Mm-hmm.
Did she tell you about who was involved in the family or anything like that?
No, she did not. Mm-mm.
How about growing up, what did you learn about slavery?
Well, on slavery, they just didn't talk about it too much. Now, segregation, you knew where you could go and where you couldn't go, and what you could say and what you could not say. But they didn't talk that much about slavery.
Was anybody in your family, did they talk about being enslaved or?
No, no, they did not. I was just a young kid, and that didn't worry me. I was out playing most of the time.
Do you remember, how was this area, or growing up, how were you affected by things like World War II, growing up during World War II? Do you remember some of the things that happened in that period?
In Pomeroy, we lived in a very large house, and I remember when they would have lights out, and everybody would have to have their lights out, and that would scare me because I would hear the planes going over, and I thought they were coming to bomb us, and it would be American planes. I just didn't have any idea, but I was very scared. And in high school, I can remember shipping the PT boats down the river from Marietta, and they would ship them there to Point Pleasant, West Virginia. And I do remember that, going down the river. Oh, and I can remember VJ Day also. That was Victory Day. Standing in Pomeroy, I could hear the church bells ringing, the guns going off, and also a plane flew under the Pomeroy Mason Bridge. And I think that gentleman lost some stripes over that. He gained them back, but he had lost them at that time.
What was his name?
Do I have to give his name? Okay, I won't give his name.
What was the population of people of color in Pomeroy when you were growing up?
That I have no idea.
Was it a fairly large or small population?
No, it wasn't very large, no.
Do you remember, were a lot of the people of color, did they go off to serve in World War II?
Yes.
And do you know, like, what kind of job, did your father have to serve in?
No, he didn't. He had very bad eyesight. He didn't have to go.
Okay. Do you remember some of the other people that had to go?
Robert Brown, I remember he went off to service. And my uncle, he was a Cousins, Robert Cousins. He was from Gallipolis, Ohio. And I remember him serving in World War II. But others I just cannot remember.
Can you talk a little bit about the role of church in your family? How often did you attend church? Where did you attend church?
Okay, I attended church at Naomi Baptist Church, and I went every Sunday. I love Sunday school. And there, I can remember they would have fish fries and ice cream socials to gain money to support the church. But I enjoyed it.
What was the role of the church in the Black community?
Well, at that time, serving the Lord. But they weren't really into, in political. They weren't that much in political business.
What were some of the things, how did church affect behavior? What were some of the things you could and couldn't do based upon being a member of the church?
Couldn't dance. That was one of them. And you always carried yourself like a lady.
And what did carrying yourself like a lady mean?
You didn't wear clothes that weren't presentable. You didn't talk bad. And just acted like a lady.
Now, what would happen if someone went against some of these rules of the church, like danced, or what were some of the sanctions?
Well, they sort of ostracize them. But if they'd repent, they could come back to the church. So.
And by repent, what do you mean?
Well, say they're not going to do it anymore, or they didn't do it anymore.
Now, how would they repent? Publicly or?
Just come to the church and ask forgiveness.
Now, can you say what denomination the church was?
Baptist.
And were most of the people of color, what denomination did they belong to? What's the biggest denomination?
Baptist.
And then if we could talk a little bit about what would, if you got an illness or a cold or a flu, what were some of the things that were done?
You would just get off-the-counter drugs, really, to treat it. If you really, really got sick, then you would be taken to a doctor. but rarely.
What were some of the illnesses that people suffered from when you were growing up?
Flu, pneumonia, things like that. I just can't recall all of them.
What were some of the home remedies that people might use?
I can remember my aunt using a bag, filling it with, I don't know, something that smelled horrible, and would tie around her children's neck, and they would just, they didn't like that. They didn't want it.
What was it?
I think it's called some kind of bag, acidity. I can't remember the name, but it was filled with vile stuff.
What are some of the more major illnesses that people suffer from in your family, like diabetes or cancer? Are those?
Mine, on my side of the family, is heart attack and stroke. All of my family has gone that way.
What do you think, what do you attribute that to?
Well, stress and diet.
And what is the diet?
Well, most of them ate a lot of fats in their diet.
Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you would like to add to the interview? Like stories you remember growing up, or things about Black Fork or Coke Patch or Pomeroy?
No, not really. Okay, that's it.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, has he shut it off? I was going to